right? I need to give you an example of kinematics motion. Okay, this is limited only to the ground. Sometimes, for example, the airplane like that will go up with an initial velocity of chuha chu chu and then reach to the final point by dropping the objects downward. Calculate the time that this object will reach to the ground. Ganon, right? So this is gonna be interesting, right? This could be happening in reality, but the only thing is that we don't compute. Okay? That you will drop something downside, like that, whatever. But we are not concerned of the technical calculations, but this is really applicable every day. Okay? To the point, we are not just computing the velocity, the speed, the time, but if you try to incorporate this in the daily life, then this can be applicable every time. The point, so that we need to understand also the point. So this one, looks like a reality, right? See, a soccer ball is kicked at an angle of 45 degrees off the horizontal and with an initial velocity of 25 meters per second. How long is it in the air? And what is the horizontal displacement, right? So I already discussed a while ago, right? And we need to be smart enough to take the appropriate equations to be used according to our analysis after we sketch something like that. Okay? So here is very clear. We have two required quantities that we're able to find out. Okay, it's gonna be how long. If you say how long, it's not the vertical height. Okay, because you will say long means length, but it's not literal, right? So it's not length, but it's times. Okay? How long is it in the air? Sometimes other also examinees can interpret that as a length or a distance because long. Okay, normally, right? If you measure the pipe, you will say long. How long is the pipe? Right? It's totally the same also here. How long is it in the air? But if you try to analyze, it's not that length. It's the time. So things like this, you have to be, to be smart enough to differentiate what's being stated. Okay, so how long is it in the air? Okay, meaning the time, not the distance or not the vertical distance. Okay, so the time. Okay, how long it is in the air. Meaning to say in the air because if you kick the soccer ball, then it will be in the air, and after it will drop off on the ground, fall on the ground later on when you kick like that. Soccer sport or football, right? What is the horizontal displacement? Okay, it's gonna be letter B, displacement. Okay, so it's gonna be referring to the initial point and the final point, or let's say final distance xf minus xo is short displacement, and you need to find out this. Okay, like that. So now we draw. Okay, this is Jun. Okay, because it's not mentioned who is the guy kicking the soccer ball. Okay, Jun kick the soccer ball. This one, soccer ball. And the ball will reach like this. It will establish a curvature, or shall we say, just like a projectile also, right? Or specifically a trajectory, illustration. Meaning there's a curve going to the ground. Meaning to say the highest point will achieve the curvature. You get the point? This one, at the highest point, something like this. So the ball will reach here also, somewhere else, and then it will drop off later on the ground. Okay, like that. So put a ground here. Okay, now the analyzation will be like this. Okay, let's kick the ball at the point A, and then it will achieve a point B at the highest point somewhere along the way. When you kick the ball, it will achieve a highest point later on, and then it will be a falling on the ground later on also. And then it's gonna be point C here also, right? And then your time is asked. So you're gonna be doing that component to component in order you can solve for the total time when the soccer ball will reach the ground. It's gonna be like that. Because you know, see, there's half here. If you erect an imaginary vertical line here, so you're gonna be having the t point A to B. That is the first time taken, and on, and then T B D. This is your second half time taken, something like that. So it's gonna be total time is gonna be TAB plus TBD. This is the total time covered when you kick the ball with an initial velocity of 25 betul mo palang that? Okay. Yes, 25 meter per second in reaching to point C. Okay. Now I will have here the initial velocity of 25 meter per second, something like that. Okay. Now I present you a lot of equations there. Okay, what equations will be used? You have to choose where is applicable. Okay, so the first thing to do is to discover the t involvement of the 6 equations I presented a while ago. Something like that. Okay, what is that? So there are 2. It's gonna be Vf is equal to Vo plus acceleration times time. Or it's gonna be the distance is equal to the VOT plus 1/2 AT squared. It's gonna be also like 1/2 VO plus VF times T, right? Like that. Now, 1, 2, 3. Choose these equations. Now you will analyze what is more simplified equation to be used direct, because sometimes it creates problems. You know, if you do the substitution, if you plug in the values, then you still have another problem with another quantities here, something like that. So you need to be extra careful also. No, if we use this equation 1, we have the initial velocity of 25 meters per second, right? And we don't still have the acceleration. So how can we do that? Something like that. Okay. So your problem is the acceleration and the final velocity, right? In the second equation, distance, nothing, x. Initial velocity we have, time, nothing, acceleration, nothing. So we have 3 unknowns. So it will be more complicated than equation 1. So I will never prefer this equation 2. Let's say x. When I put x, meaning I will never consider that equation because of too much given unknowns. Okay. And then we go to equation number 3. Distance equals to 1/2 initial velocity plus final velocity times the time. So here, we don't have the distance, and we have also the time. We don't have the time, and we have the final velocity. Same story, 3 quantities unknown. So I would rather use this equation 1, right? Something like that story. Okay, so I will use equation 1. Okay, solution, like that. Okay, solution. So VF is equals to VO plus AT. Okay, analyze now the problem. Okay, now, final velocity, when you kick the ball, there's no final velocity yet, right? You get the point. There's no final velocity yet, okay, in this point A. The final velocity will takes place in point C, right? Because it's already dropping or falling and static already after it has fallen from the highest point during the kicking of the soccer ball. So we will say VF is equals to 0, right? By analysis already. Normally, things, if you try to drop the things on the ground, the final velocity will be 0. Anything. Okay, so VF final velocity is equals to 0. So this is the final velocity because it has not moving already. Stagnant, static, stationary, something like that. Okay, so final velocity is equal to 0. Now, we use this equation to plug in values already, right? VF, 0, initial velocity of 25 meters per second, something like that. Okay, plus acceleration. So in here, you create your story, your problem. Sir, there's no acceleration here, but this is a part of free fall. Okay, because when you hit this ball to the highest point, there will be a gravity that it will fall downward directly. It will really push it to the ground. So we need to use the G now, acceleration due to gravity, instead of the regular A. It is linear movement. This is more on vertical, see? Like this, when you kick, and then it will goes down, and then it will take downward motion. It's gonna be G. Okay, so G is 9.81 meter per second. Then it is downward, negative 9.81 meter per second squared, and then times the time. Mga palangga kong hitad. Okay, so do the math. Do the math. It will be negative 9.81 meter per second squared times the time, then equal to negative, because you are trying to transpose the positive into negative, because we are equating that to 0. So it's going to be negative 25. Then by math again, both sides have negative sign. You have to cancel that out. Negative, eliminating the negative sign. Now, we have a positive sign because this is time. Okay? You get the point? There's no negative time. Nakakaloka. Okay? Like that. So, how can we do that? Okay. 25 divided by 9.81 is equals to, okay, 25 divided by 9.81. Okay. Now, it's 2.5485. Okay? Okay, this is the time. Okay, this is the time when you kick the ball, but take note, when you kick the ball, mga palangga, there is an angle of inclination of 45 degrees. This is the usual mistake here. Okay, even me when I was in college, okay, something like that, or even in the board examination or future examination, if you forgot to note the degree of inclination. So actually, we have the 45 degrees of inclination based on our problem. So, like that. You get the point, mga palangga? So this one, you have to adjust the time. You have to correct that this is still having the 45 degrees angle of inclination. How can we do this? Okay, this is the difficulty part. Okay? You get the point? Okay, take note because it will matters a lot if you don't include the angle of inclination. Okay? You get the point? Ganon. So, this is a little bit difficult because it involves angle of inclination. You get the point? Now, if this is, we transfer now, we create a triangle here by understanding the Pythagoras Theorem. Always Pythagoras Theorem, guys, if this is related to kinematics motion. Even in the, in the forces, still Pythagoras Theorem. That's why it's being taught in math, the earlier math in high school, because it's always used in college. We do the computation. You get the point? In higher math, something like that. So, like this. So we represent this ball here and we create an angle here. Okay, imaginary. And now there's a 45 degrees here, like that. Okay. Now, I will show you. In this case, we have the velocity, initial velocity. We have two components of the velocity. We have the upward and the horizontal. And we need to have Vy and Vx. Ganon. And then we have the regular V, which is your equivalent to your hypotenuse. Okay, which is V. And then remember the Pythagoras Theorem? C squared is equals to A squared plus B squared. And then C is the hypotenuse. A is the base in the horizontal. And P is your opposite side, which is the height. Something like that. And your hypotenuse is the diagonal. So you try to make a comparison or analogy in this situation when you kick the soccer ball. Now, the V is the hypotenuse. So I may be able to say it's going to be the V squared is equal to Vx squared plus Vy squared. And then the velocity is equals to the square root of the Vx squared plus Vy squared. This Vx is the velocity in the x component, and this Vy is the velocity in the y component. Something like that. So you can now have your regular velocity. Okay. What happened here initially is that when you kick the ball, it will not move directly. Right? Agree. Because it's, of course, common sense. So your Vy is equals to 0. Okay? You get the point? Your Vy is equal to 0. But you have your Vx as your initial velocity, which is 25 meters per second. Okay, like that. Mga palangga kung hitar. O now, undergo, use the Pythagoras Theorem, something like that. Okay, Pythagoras Theorem for this. You get the point, mga palangga? So be extra careful when you use this kind of problem. Now, so we have now to compute the V here, we need to do here. Okay, so here 45 degrees mga palangga, and you need to solve for the V, right? So it's gonna be like a cosine of 45 degrees, ganon, chupa-chuchu. Cosine of 45 degrees is equal to the base Vx over the hypotenuse V. Oh, ganon. Then Vx is equals to cosine 45 degrees times V. V cosine 45 degrees. And this is your equation 1. Okay. Then compute for Vy also. Vy is equal to V is equals to sine cosine sine theta na siya. Because it is opposite side over the hypotenuse. You get the point? Okay. Like this. Okay. Vy over V is equals to sine theta. You need to be extra careful. You need to adopt your stock knowledge in trigonometry. What is the sine theta? Okay, cosine theta, tangent theta, arctangent theta, arctangent theta, arcsine theta, arcsine cosine theta, mga ganun chuba-chuchu. Okay? You got the point? Ganon. So here, time, you can now use this by applying the angle of inclination. Diba? Okay. Now, so how can we do that here? Okay, so for the time, right? So this, we have the acceleration over the velocity over the time, right? This is the normal equation for the acceleration, something like that. Now, okay, compute for the time. So time is equals to the velocity over the acceleration. Ganon. And since your acceleration here is gravity, so you need to substitute that with g. Okay, g. And in your v here, you already computed here, right? Vy is equals to v sine theta. Like that, I'm going to Then it's gonna be v sine theta. Ganon. Okay? You got the point. So you can also have t is equals to v cosine theta with respect to the horizontal velocity component also. So below cosine theta, the g also. And the theta is 45 degrees. It's gonna be v sine of 45 degrees. Right? 45 degrees na mga palangga, right? Yup. Over 9.81. And also here, same here. V cosine 45 degrees 9.81. Ganon. O diba? Ito po yung mga palangga. Oh, it's gonna be like that. Okay. Now, what is your value for your V? Okay. The value of your V, of course, this is the 25 meter per second. Okay? You get the point. So, you need to substitute that here. Okay? In the first case. Okay? Why? Because it involves the direction of the vertical, opposite side, not the base and the horizontal. Okay? It will go to the top. Okay? And then going to the down. So this is applicable, not the cosine. You get the point? See, you create a vertical. Okay? So meaning Vy, not the Vx. We will use this. V sine theta over G, not the horizontal. You get the point? So substitute values. Time is equal to ganon. Okay? So velocity, okay, which is 25. Okay, sine of 45 degrees, okay, over 9.81. Pila siya mga palangga. Okay, so sine 45 equal to times 25 is equals to, divided by 9.81 is equals to 1.80. Okay, this is 1.80 seconds. Okay, take note, this is only the first component at point A to point B. This one, T time is equal to TAB. So this is still your TAB. So 1.80, okay, seconds. And then, by common sense, it's create the same, right? From B to C. So we need to say another 1.80. And this is also the common mistakes of some students examinees, because when you get the time, already this one the answer. No, it's not, because you still have another from point B to point C. So it will become 3.60, right? Okay, seconds, like that. So it's gonna be times 2. When you get the answer, times 2 pa siya. Or plus, another plus. From point A to B, B to D, B to C, something like. You have to, here part is analysis. Okay? Because if you don't analyze, you will answer this P as 1.80, you will be wrong. Okay? Because that is not yet the answer. You need to add another 1.80 from the ball, the top at the highest level going to the C when it fall on the ground or landed on the ground. This first T is still the at point initial time to when the ball reaches the highest point when it covers into the air, something like that. So be careful also, okay? Something like that. So your time is 3.60 seconds to be answered. How long, right? How long it takes the ball to fall on the ground when Junjun kick the soccer ball. Ganon. So 3.60 per second. Okay? Like that. You get the point? So ako na, Junjun, di ba para lang Jun makasabot tayo. Fairness. Okay. So what else? So we need to complete the distance now, mga palangga kong hitan. Okay. This one will not be applicable. Okay. The time 0.254 seconds because there's involved of angle of inclination. Okay, so we try this also because it's part also with the kinematics equations. I told you we need to choose the most appropriate equations, especially when we are not, practicing the same problem. You get the point? When you solve, for example, you solve this problem and another day you solve another problem. Oh, this is not the same, right? So all you have to do is to maximize or present all the equations from formulas coming from your brain cells in which you are stuck that in your hippocampus part of your brain cells. And then your neurons will activate how to do it. Okay? Like that. You get the point? So this is not applicable, this one. Okay? So, you get the point mga palangga kung saan ay nakakaloka. Diba? Ganon siya. Okay, what else? And over here also, okay, we need to calculate the distance from A to C, right? So what is the final velocity, final distance covered for this? Okay, you have to choose also another. So let's erase this because I have a limited board space. So I need to memorize that it takes already 3.60 seconds, right? Okay. Ganon. So what is the horizontal distance? Okay. Horizontal distance, guys, this is a question B. So, in what equations there that involve distance? Okay, like let's say 1, we have distance is equals to 1/2 VF plus VO times T. It's also possible, right? Another, distance is equals to initial velocity, okay, times time plus 1/2 AT squared. It's also possible, right? Ganon. So, it's gonna be this one and this one. Or the other one also, VF plus VO plus 80, but there's no distance here, so equals like that. So, VF squared is equals to VO squared plus 280, possible also because we have also the acceleration due to gravity. So, this one, you will choose, but actually it will yield the same answer. I think so. Let's prove, right? You got the point? Okay, but to make it direct, guys, if the question will say, what is the distance covered at a highest, when the ball still at highest position? You will use this one, because this is the usual formula when asking the ball at a highest position, what is the vertical distance from the ground? Something like that. But the story is not like that, because we are saying the horizontal distance. So, it's gonna be like that. So, okay, ano na? So, distance is equals to 1/2 initial velocity, okay, which is, we treat this as 0 normally, okay, 0, okay, plus, your VO now will be 17.7 because we acknowledge already this is the VX, Okay, we acknowledge already the sine theta coming from the V, the chuchu. Okay, so that is 17.7 already. You can still remember. Okay, like that. So, okay, so I have 45, then to make sure, because I erased already. 45 sine equals to times 25. Yeah, 17.7 meter per second talaga siya. Okay, and then cosine 45 is equals to times 25. We are very, very lucky in this case, guys, because this is a magic. Because if you use also cosine theta, you will yield the same velocity, 17.7. If we have an angle of 45 degrees, and we are very, very lucky for that. If we have 45 degrees, that's why some problems use 45 degrees, because it's very good. Your sine theta values will always equal to the cosine theta values. Then your velocity will also be the same, right? I mean, V sine theta and V cosine theta will yield the same answer. I'll try now for the first time in my entire life. And just now I discovered. Really, I could discover this when I was in college 20 years ago. Just now, that the V sine theta is just equals to V cosine theta. See, there are things also that we don't discover so far. Now we are very, very old. You get the point? If we have the angle of 45 degrees on the spot. 45 degrees. So, yeah, right? Learning is sometimes instantaneous, meaning very quick, very amazing. You don't experience that before, and then just now, things like that. Just like now, example, I don't know that the sine 45 degrees is equal to cosine 45 degrees. See, I will use a calculator again, cosine 45 degrees. See, and 0.707, and sine. Okay, 45 degrees. See, equal. Maybe others know already because they are good in math, but for me just now. Okay? To be honest. Okay, so something like that. Now, here is also the distance. Okay, like that. So this is gonna be distance, it's supposed to be VOT, and then the time here. Okay? Get the point? Now, your time is 3.60. O, ganon. So 1/2, 17.077 times 3.60 na talaga siya, mga kapatid kong hitad. Now, it's gonna be like that, okay? So 17.7 divided by 2 is equals to times 3.60 is equals to, okay, 31.86 meters. Okay, like that. But take note, okay? So this is your VF plus VO divided by 2 times time, taking from distance is equals to velocity times time, right? Ganon. You get the point? So, muna siya may tabo. So again, 17.7 to make it perfect divided by 2 times 3.60 is equals to 31.86 meters, your distance. Okay? For this. Okay. Distance. Let's compare. Okay? Distance 31.86 meter from this equation. Okay? Like this one, this equation. Second equation, we will use this, right? Okay, so distance is equals to initial velocity, which is 17.7 already, mga palangga kong hitag, times 3.60 plus 1/2 times 9.81 times 3.60 raised to the power 2. So we have also distance. In this case, you maximize all the distances formulas and try to compare which is among them have a logical answer, because it's possible also you can substitute, right? You get the point? So it's gonna be like that. So, okay. Mga palangga kong hitag. So 3.60 2 is equals to like this. Okay, mga palangga. Then 12.96 and then 9.81 mga palangga divided by 2 mga palangga. So 4.905. Okay. Now this is gonna be add them all. Ganon. So distance equals to, okay, 17.7 mga palangga times 3.60 is equals to 63.72. Okay, plus, okay, like this, 12.96 times 4.905 is equals to 63.5688. Then add the 2 plus 63.72 is equals to, okay, this is 127.29. So this is your, okay, this is your distance, okay, 2. Okay. Then, the third, this one, Vf squared plus Vot plus 2AD. Okay. So, final velocity is 0 because there's no velocity. As I told you a while ago, so there's 0. So, Vf squared is equal to 0 raised to the power to 0, right? It's gonna be like that. So, initial velocity is 25, right? You get the point, mga palangga. So VO. So we have now already 17. Okay, 17.7 raised to the power 2 plus 2 times 9.81. Then distance. Okay. Okay, the distance is equals to, and then this 9.81 is negative because downward. Okay, like that. You get the point, mga palangga? Oh, downward. If it is downward, so we need to say this will be minus. Okay? Okay? Because I failed to take note that it is downward. Okay? So, it's gonna be like, so 17.7 raised to the power 2 is equals to 313.29. Okay? Plus, okay, 2 negative 9.81. Okay, like that times D. Okay, so D is equals to 2 times 9.81, so 19.62. Okay, mga palangga kong hitad. Okay, then 313.29. Divide this one. Okay, like this is with your distance, mga palangga. Okay, so distance to 331.29 divided by 19.62 is equals 16.88 meters. Okay, like that. Okay, because this is negative, right? You're gonna be like that. Okay, this is 16.88 meters. Okay, now we will also use this formula. Okay, distance is equals to the velocity, which is 25. 3.60 times 25. Okay, so we have also 90 meter. So they have different value of distances, and you have to choose which is the appropriate for that particular problem. Okay, because I did not, as I told you a while ago, I will never solve the problems ahead of time. I need to solve on the spot. Okay, so that's why I cannot troubleshoot directly which is the correct answer. But I solved a lot, right? See, like this. So this is gonna be 63.72. Okay, minus 63.568 is equals to like this. So this is 0.152, which is impossible. So this distance, point something, this is ikes already because it's very small. You get the point, mga palangga? That's very, very small. Okay, now here. So it's between this one, okay, and this one, huh? Like that. You get the point? It's between the two. You need to solve for the distance, something like that. Okay? But because of this one, the time is not involved. So it's gonna be like, this is very easy, Sir Shotero, because the distance is not involved. Then you can compute immediately, something like that. Okay? So you're gonna attempt it for this also. Okay? Like that. You get the point? You get the point, mga palangga? So the answers are not the same. Then we need to troubleshoot which of the following is really the best answer. Now there's also another option, because at each component you have the time of, let's say, 1.80, right? And then use the distances individually, then add all the distance also. Okay, distance 1 plus distance 2. There's also another option. We break, right? Okay, and then add all the distance. Actually, there's a lot. Okay, it's up to you to, the troubleshoot. So this total distance is equal to distance 1 plus distance 2, right? And then in distance 1 we have a time 1, right? You see, distance 1 we will cover at time 1, and distance 2 we will cover at time 2. Then each have 1.80, and you need to determine the individual distances each. So how can you compute that? Okay, so choose the problem which involve the distance. Okay, it's gonna be here, right? Okay, or this one. Ari ko sa no square root, kaya dali na kaayo siya. Okay, ari ko dali. Okay, like this. Kaya wala mo siya square root. Okay, you get the point, mga palangga? Okay, so makakuha na yun ko og something VF. But VF is not necessary, right? Okay, so we don't use this one. Kani siya kay na distance. Okay, what else? Kani pwede po siya Okay? But taas sa kayo. Lengthy. Okay? But we need to choose first this 1. Okay, so let's say VF0 squared is equals to the velocity that we computed already, 17.7 raised to the power 2 plus 2 times negative, right? 9.81 D. Okay, this is D1. We break this one, right? When you transpose that one, it's gonna be like negative. O pwede siya. Okay, so 17.7 raised to the power 2. 313. Okay. Okay, 0.29. Then divided by 9.81 times 2. It will become positive during transpose. Okay? So 313 29 divided by 9.81. Okay, 9.81 times 2 is equals to 19.62, right? 19.62 and 313.29. So 313.29 divided by 19.62. Okay, mga palangga, is equal to, okay, 313.29 divided by 19.62 is equals to 15.96. Distance 1. 0.96 meter. Okay? Like this. This is here. Okay? Your distance 1. Okay, distance 2, the same. Right? So, add mo siya times 2, right? So, times 2. This is 31.93, your total distance here. Okay. Option 1. With option 2, this one. Okay? Like that. This is gonna be a distance also. This one, see? Oh. You have a lot of options. Choose among them later on. This kind of question is good for the multiple choice. Okay? You know? Multiple choice. So it's gonna be like distance 1 is equals to the velocity 17.7 times 1.80, okay, plus 1/2 negative 9.81, right? Then 1.80 is to the power 2, so this is your distance 1. So 17.7 mga palangga kung hitad times 1.80 is equals to 31.86, okay, and then plus, okay, raised to the power 2 pa man siya. So 1.80 exponential 2. So see, really? 1.80 exponential 2. So 3.24. Okay? 3.24. And then this whole thing is negative, right? Okay. So 9.81 divided by 2 times 3.24 is equals to, this is going to be negative 15.89. And then minus, so 31.86 minus 15.89. So distance 15.97. Okay, so this is distance 1, right? So 15.97 times 2. So this is 31.94. So the same. Okay, so your total distance is 31.93 because if you use the two equations, it will yield the same answer. Right? So this one, okay, is wrong. And this one also is wrong. The first one is wrong because we are not using the acceleration due to the gravity. We can compute directly the distance. So this is for the lazy examinees or lazy students because they try to substitute everything and they forgot the acceleration due to the gravity. But this kind of problem, the acceleration due to gravity is a great factor before the ball going to the ground. Though you can compute also with the distance, but you did not apply the acceleration due to gravity. Though you get the distance, this might be wrong. Okay, because even though you substitute all correct, the distance, the velocity, but you did not account the gravity when the ball fall on the ground. So A case, like that. Okay, this one, why it is not? Okay, how can we justify this one? This one, this is not. Why? Because we did not also involve the time. Okay, here the time is very relevant. Okay, when you kick the ball, how long will it take, and then the distance also will be there. That kind of equation doesn't involve the time. Okay, so it looks like not also really logical, the same as the other one, so E test. Okay, so we will use this one because involve time and involve also acceleration due to gravity in your equation. So this is gonna be the the analysis. Involves acceleration due to gravity and the time because that is the quantities that we are trying to solve. If there are formulas that very direct and did not apply the other quantities that play an important role to compute for the answers, then don't go for that. Things like this. And I think this is also the usual error of a lot of examiners in the whole world, including me. Okay? You get the point? Because mabitik sa kuanin before when I was in college. Okay? You get the point mga palangga? That is 31.24 ang iyang distansya. You get the point? Ganon. Diba? So, and now, we really get the answer because, I'm assuming that I'm correct. Let's check. Okay. So, a lot. Let's check the answer. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Okay. Like this. Okay, like this, like this, like this. Okay. So, perfect. It's really correct. Okay? Ganon. So, mo gyud siya mga kalangga. Correct gyud siya. Okay? So, any questions so far? So, any question? Nothing, right? Okay, so nothing. Okay, mga palangga kung hitad. So, nothing ha. Okay, so ganon. Horizontal distance. Okay? Okay, mga palangga kung hitad. Any questions so far? Wala na. So thank you so much for watching this vlogs. I hope you like it. This vlog. And then you have to be extra careful when you use the formula if it is really not just what is being asked in the problem. Something like that. Okay? So you can comment down below in the comment section and share it to anybody else if you like. And then you can subscribe to my channel if you think you are not subscribing it to my channel. And you can click the notification bell for some news updates. If I am a singer, I can have a voice. Bye bye. God bless everybody.